So the sheepdog trials now on the RAA Super Screen. You'll get an excellent view. With me is Susan. She's from Port Broughton. She's a South Aussie lady. G'day, Susan. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
I'm panting from coming up the stairs. This is such a tiring gig. The dog's already been let off. Talk us through the start, and who is this out there at the moment?
This is Steve Garrity. He lives in Adelaide, and this is his dog, Warringah Cap. And Cap is a 2-year-old purebred border collie. And at the moment, when the time goes, the dog has to cast around to the other side where the sheep are, and then bring the sheep directly back to the handler. We call that the cast, lift and draw.
So doing actually a very good job at the moment. The naming of the dogs is always unusual.
Yes.
You know, they've got a double name. How does that work?
Well, the first name is the breeder's name. So in this case, Warringah is actually Steve's prefix. So that means that Steve bred this dog, and Cap is the dog's name. So it just gives the stud name of the dog, so then people know where the dog was bred.
Now, the posturing of the dog, the dog and the sheep don't know each other.
That's right.
Yeah, they're brand new to each other. The sheep haven't been briefed on this. This is all new to them.
That's right, yes.
The sheep seem to be just obeying the dog. The dog's posture is really... How does this all work? Like, how can the dog know what to do here, and how do the sheep know how to respond?
It's all natural instinct.
It's magical.
These dogs are bred and trained to bring sheep directly to the handler. So at the moment, Steve is bringing the sheep down at a nice, calm pace, and he's slowly introducing the dog to the sheep.
Now, I mentioned, if you were here earlier, some of the processes here. Steve is standing very still, but once he starts walking, and you'll notice next to each of the obstacles, am I using the right word there?
Yes.
Yeah. There is a square which Steve gets to stand in. Once he starts walking to that, he can't stop.
That's correct. When he leaves at the moment he's standing at the peg. So once he brings the sheep to him, the sheep must go around him in an anti-clockwise direction. And then when he decides to start walking, he must walk at a constant pace.
Now, I can see he's talking to his dog here. What would he be saying? Is he just making noises? No, he's talking.
He is talking.
What would he be saying?
Oh, he's whistling there at the moment. He's got... all dog trialers have got commands for come in and to go clockwise and anti-clockwise, and sometimes even a reverse gear, so they can back the dog off to release the pressure from the sheep.
These sheep seem to be cooperating reasonably well here. Sometimes one sheep gets spooked.
Yes.
Yeah, that's never good.
No, that's right. The handler, he'd be looking at the moment trying to find the leader of the sheep and just seeing which one he needs to concentrate the dog on. What do you mean, the leader of the sheep? The leader of the sheep. The leader of the sheep is the one that literally is going to lead the other two through.
Does that generally happen? You pick any 3 random sheep, or you get a leader?
Generally you do, yeah.
And the other 2 will just follow blindly?
They can change, like as the trial progresses. Like there's one sheep that will look through an obstacle, and that's the sheep that the dog trialer would concentrate on. So that's
good. Now,
that is good.
Another rule that I mentioned, there goes Steve. So he must keep that pace now.
That's correct.
And he can't touch the sheep, can he?
No.
No. Can he talk to the sheep?
I think it might be a bit pointless.
Now, interesting. Now, I want to touch on this, Susan.
Yes.
The run of the dog now must never be between the handler and the sheep.
That's right. That's an instant disqualification because, like I said before, these sheep are bred and trained. The dog is bred and trained to bring sheep to the handler. So if they cross that imaginary line between the sheep and the handler, they are crossing and actually going to be driving the sheep away.
Yes, I understand that. So how do you train a dog not to cross that line? Because, most dogs would just run higgledy-piggledy through that line.
Well, it's training, and it's also within their instinct.
I must say this is a very impressive run because at the moment the 3 sheep are together and they're almost through the obstacle already. This fence line here, there's a small gap. I don't know if you can see it from where you're sitting.
Yeah. No,
Just see on the RAA super screen, you can see the shadows. Steve's blocking the fence itself, but you can see the gap in there. That's what the dog's trying to push them through.
that's a 0.9 of a metre that they've got to get those 3 sheep through.
How in the world would you measure that to the point that you say that's a good distance? How did that get determined?
I truly, I don't know.
You guys are as quirky as hell, you know that, don't you? But in a good way.
Yeah.
The first time I ever watched this, Susan, I was immediately captivated because it's like watching a very clever game of something. And they're through.
They're through, yeah.
Wow, well, give them a round of applause. That's a terrific moment there, a real success.
No,
There's a calmness to Steve that I like.
Yeah, he is very calm. He just walks along. He chooses not to hold a stick. Some trialers will go out there and hold a stick, which extension of their arm, and they use that when they're training their sheep. Their dogs, I mean.
Look how the sheep are being kept immediately in the centre of the dog and Steve. That's really terrific.
They're actually
Exactly
on
what you want.
the wrong side of Steve.
Oh, are they?
What happens is the sheep have to be on the other side. There is a corridor. When you start trialling, you start off with 100 points. You never ever gain any points, you only lose points. So every time there's a 9 metre corridor from where Steve was walking, he was walking on the inside, and the outside is the other 9 metre corridor. The sheep must remain within that 9 metre corridor
so he's
the
lost
whole time.
points. He's lost points.
So he
for
would have
that.
lost points when they came over this side.
Okay.
Because the judge will always try to reward the dog who does it perfectly. So any dog that does it slightly wrong, he will penalise the points for that.
Oh, that seems a little harsh. I'd like that reviewed.
No, that's right. So here at the moment, they're just waiting at the mouth of the race. We call this obstacle the race. And he's just steadying. Yeah, so they've slipped through there. So he'd lose points for that also. Even if the sheep puts their nose past just a fraction, if the judge can see that it's gone past, he will deduct points. The further away they go, the more points they will lose.
So, if you start with 100, have you ever seen a perfect run?
No, I have not.
What's the most you've ever seen?
Oh, about 95.
Did it look good?
It did. Very impressive.
Did you pick it as a 95? Did you pick it was
It
imperfect?
was very, very good, yes. Yeah.
I know the perfect runs have happened though.
They have. I don't know if it's happened in South Australia. Maybe our sheep are a little bit too crazy. I'm not sure, but
Do you get different breeds of sheep? We talked about dogs before, and I have a Spoodle, and Ian has beagles, which wouldn't be suited to this. Do you have types of sheep that wouldn't be suited to this?
well, we do use different sheep. Sometimes we use crossbreds and purebred merinos. So, and they all react differently.
Yeah.
Merinos tend to be a little bit more flighty, and crossbreds, they stand up to the dog, and you have to have a little bit more push.
Which brings me to my next question. How much interaction can the dog have with the sheep to the point that can the dog touch the sheep?
The dog can. The dog is permitted to give a little nip. If, say, for instance, they're completely stuck, they generally get stuck at the mouth of the bridge because it's blind going up.
Yeah.
So the dog's allowed to go in there and give a little nip as a bit of a last resort. But if the dog bites and hangs on, they get disqualified because you have to look after the welfare of the sheep.
Of course.
But, and a dog's allowed to defend itself. So if a sheep puts its head down and goes and bowls the dog is allowed to defend itself and give a little nip as well.
One's in the race.
1's through.
It's very easy to lose track of which one went through there. So do they all three have to go through again?
They do, absolutely. Yeah, all 3 have to go through. Unless, like, if one bolts right off and you know that one's gone through and the other 2 are still in the mouth and you get them through, well, then you're allowed to go through. And the same thing goes, say, for instance, Steve was walking up to the race there and the sheep bolted through just randomly. Because Steve wasn't standing in the square, he has to do it again.
Okay.
But if the sheep are not quite through and he stands in the square, that's allowed and he's allowed to continue on.
All right. And the gentleman in the jacket and the fine pants and the nice shoes, that would be the judge, yes?
That's correct, yes. Yeah, that's Damien Wilson. And he judges here quite often at the Adelaide Show, I believe. So he's a very good judge. I'll say that because my husband's coming up in a minute, so you might hear me and give him a couple of points. What do you reckon?
Yeah, absolutely.
No.
Come on. Come on.
So, yeah, no, Steve, he's just steadying in there nice and quietly and just waiting for a sheep to look and just slowly walking in and not putting too much pressure, because if that dog went in quickly, it'll spook the sheep.
Well, that's the idea, really, isn't it? To sort of gently
That's
get the
right.
sheep to be influenced enough to actually go through.
That's correct, yeah.
Because it's against the sheep's instincts to go through something like that, I suppose. I'm guessing.
Well, sheep aren't stupid.
Really?
Yeah, sheep aren't stupid. No.
Really? When did that happen?
No, they are very intelligent. They can work a dog out. Like,
Let's just stop.
all right.
Are you serious?
Yeah, 100%.
Sheep are very intelligent. Because
absolutely.
the general belief is that sheep are daft.
No. They mob up for a reason. They mob up for
Yeah.
protection, and no.
I apologise to all sheep right now, but
No.
I mean no slur, but I thought that the general impression was that they were a bit silly.
No. And they can work dogs out. Like when the dog casts around, and the dog can feel, the sheep can feel if the dog's got presence.
Yeah.
Presence, like,
That presence is very important in this sport.
Absolutely. So if a dog hasn't got very much presence, they've got to get right up under the sheep.
Presence is one of those intangibles like charisma.
Exactly.
Really. The sheep just knows, all right, this is a commanding dog coming towards us here. I better behave myself.
Yeah. It's like a big burly person coming up to you. Well, they've got a lot of presence. And
Yeah.
if it's a meek little person, they haven't got much presence. That's what I sort of relate it back to. But Steve, like poor old Steve, he is losing a few points because the sheep are going around, but not a huge amount.
Susan, you've walked the course as a handler before.
No, I'm not a handler.
You haven't? Okay.
I'm.
You've seen your husband do it?
Yes.
You haven't done it? All right.
No.
I was going to ask you from an experiential point of view, as the handler now, if you let your frustrations be known to the dog, because dogs can pick up everything.
100%.
Yeah. So you really can't get upset out there, can you?
No. If you get all worked up, the dog. I know one of our dogs. Personally, one of our dogs. If my husband gets worked up, the dog can pick up on that, and it hypes the dogs up also.
Okay.
Depending on the temperament of the dog, obviously.
Is your husband not as calm as Steve?
Anthony's very calm. Yeah, he's on tonight. He's got a couple of dogs on as well.
Oh, these.
So he's setting up again, so we'll see how we go.
And we must be running tight on time now because it's a 15-minute bracket.
That's correct.
And we've been here probably for about 6, I'd say at least. Yeah, so we're running tight for time. So Steve will be aware of that. The 100 points is dwindling.
That's correct, because also, if, say for instance, the time stopped now, each obstacle is allocated a set amount of points.
Okay.
So the pen's worth 10, the bridge is worth 8, the race is worth 4, and the gap's worth 3. So if the time went now, he'd lose penalty points of
10, 8
and 4, so 22 points.
10. Okay.
So he'd lose that instantly.
So 78 maximum, plus he lost some with the sheep being on the wrong side.
And also running around the obstacles,
Yeah.
he's losing points. And he can also lose points for a thing called insufficient work.
Insufficient work?
Yeah.
Yeah? What does that mean?
That means if...
Why
there's
is
a
my
time-
stage manager smiling at me when I say insufficient work? So that's time now with the bell?
It is time now. So insufficient work means he's not getting on with the job, because you have to reward the dog who gets in there, gets the job done, gets the sheep back in the pen, ready for shearing. So if they like not getting the job done, they have to they'll lose points for insufficient work.
There is an element, I suppose, no matter how good the dog is, even a champion, really champion dog, surely there's an element of chance with the sheep. Like if you get a sheep that simply won't cooperate, no matter how good you are, there's the element of chance right there.
100%. You got luck of the draw, like what time of day as well that you
Really?
you do. Absolutely.
Yeah, why is that?
Yeah, the sheep are more calm in the mornings than the evenings, and during the heat of the day, they tend to run a little bit more.
Okay.
So there's luck of the draw with that, and like you said, sometimes you might draw one of the sheep that just wants to fight your dog.
Yeah.
And then sometimes you get 3 beautiful little sheep out there that just want to follow you around. It's just luck of the draw.
Well, this isn't for points now. This is just for a bit of pride and housekeeping here. The dog must get these 3 sheep through the fence.
That's right. They must clear the ground as well, because, ready for the next competitor out.
Well, how about a round of applause there? Well done, Steve. Well done to the dog.
Yep,
And
the
dog's
dog
name,
is
of course,
Warringah Cap.
Warringah Cap.
That's right.
Well done. So we'll get a score up here fairly soon, Susan.
Yes.
We'll keep track of that.
So here we go with that one. So the next competitor out will be Anthony Island with Clementsville Addy.
You know both of these very well, I'm taking it.
Absolutely, yep. Clementsville is Anthony's, our stud name, so we bred Addy.
So Clementsville Addy, yeah?
Yes.
Yep. All right then. So tell us about Clementsville Addy.
Well, Addy, she's 5 years old, and she's bred down for generations of past Australian and state champions. So, she's
So pure Border Collie?
purebred Border Collie. She is a short coat. Border Collies do come in long coat, short coat, brown, white, all sorts.
Yeah. And what's it like having a very smart dog?
Oh, no, they're good.
Tell
They're
me,
good.
when this isn't happening,
Yes.
what's the picture at your house? Is this a dog that's kept just for work, or is this a lap dog as well, or does you watch TV with you? How's it work?
No. Well, she's a working dog. We do live on a farm.
Yeah.
So they all do all our sheep work and everything, but we predominantly have them for this sheepdog trialling because it's Anthony's hobby, and we go all around South Australia and actually interstate. We're going to the Australian Championships end of this month
Where's that at?
at Dalby in Queensland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so last night you would have seen one of the state reps was Andrina Floss with Milton Cross. That's the one that's...
Milton Cross. Wow,
Milton
I remember
Cross.
Milton Cross. Yeah.
So Milton, he's actually leading the trial here because he got 88 points yesterday. And the other state rep was going to be Anthony's next dog out, which is Oakdown Spin. So they're going to be the 2 state reps to represent South Australia.
Here's the cast about to
So we'll see how we go with this one.
Talk us through this. Talk us exactly what's happening here.
Well, she should cast nice and wide and really deep. And the reason for that is not to upset the sheep, because if the dog runs down in a direct line, it will spook the sheep. So ideally, the dog will stop without making the sheep run too much, and she overran.
Okay.
She definitely overran. So she ideally should have stopped and then slowly bring the sheep back to Anthony in a... Well, once they pick up the sheep at the end of the cast, they should keep within that 9 metre corridor. So she's off course now, so she'll be losing points. So when she comes back towards Anthony, she'll have to bring the sheep around Anthony in an anti-clockwise direction.
Yeah.
And if they happen to go clockwise, the sheep have to... the dog has to unwind the sheep. And what we mean by unwind is you have to go anti-clockwise and then anti-clockwise again around the handler.
Really?
To unwind.
You have to literally unwind it?
Literally unwind them, yes.
Goodness.
Yeah, and obviously you're losing points for the fact that you have to unwind. And also when the sheep go around behind Anthony, you can see that there's another cone behind him, and that's a 9 metre corridor also, and the sheep have got to go behind him within that space also.
Got it.
So now we'll see if Addy can be clever and get them through the gap. No. Not that you get any points for that, because would have been a bit off course anyway.
Yeah. So the sheep have to go to Anthony first, didn't
Yes, and they've got to go around behind him, like I said, anti-clockwise.
Anthony clockwise.
Anti-clockwise.
You can use that anytime.
Can I? Thank you.
Why not?
You're not going to copyright it on me?
Nah.
So now Anthony is just slowly introducing Addy to the sheep. And this is a fairly important part of the trial, because if you do it rip around quickly, I've lost my train of thought now. But no, if
I can't imagine why. You keep going, you're doing fine, Susan.
Yeah. No, he's slowly introducing the dog to the sheep, so then the sheep will accept the dog. So we're just going steady now. Addie's having a sniff of the ground. The other thing a dog will lose points for is a thing called a turntail. So if the dog turns its back on the sheep, we call that a turntail. They lose points for that also.
Well, yeah, it makes sense, doesn't it? The dog must be aware of the sheep's presence at all times.
That's right.
Is it a bit like jury selection in that the handler chooses the sheep, or is that done randomly?
Absolutely randomly. I'll bet you the handler would love to choose their own sheep.
I bet they would too.
Absolutely.
So if the sheep go through these 2 orange cones, that's the first.
That's the first bit.
Now, you talked about the other obstacles being worth points. Is this worth points, this part?
No, not an allocated point, no. Okay. But theoretically, if he runs out of time here...
Oh, well, he's in trouble.
Well, he's in big trouble. And
with you.
Whoa. Yeah. I don't know. So there's going nice and steady, she's working. So he's stopping her to make sure she doesn't overrun.
So you said that every handler has their... Oh yeah, that's work.
Yep, that's
every vocal, they have different vocal commands besides whistling. What sort of things does Steve say?
I'm not sure of Steve's command. He uses the whistle a fair bit as well, but Anthony only uses the whistle for stop, and the rest is all voice. Oh,
not Steve. Sorry, I meant Anthony.
Oh, sorry, that's all right. No, he uses all voice command. Well, some people work two or 3 dogs at a time, but we personally only use the one, especially for this sort of stuff. But some people start their young dogs with an old dog. But Anthony prefers I'm just speaking what Anthony does, but he prefers just using one dog at a time, or else they'll just play with the other dog. So Anthony's standing in the set. So when he stands in there, he can't move. No matter if the sheep even just duck past that gap, no matter how you want to stick your leg out to stop him, you can't assist the dog in any way. So he's just waiting for one of the sheep to hopefully look through the gate, and then he'll send Eddie around to give him a little shove and hopefully get them through.
Now Anthony's got is it a stick there that he's using?
He has, yeah.
So what does that signify? Is that talking to the dog or giving the dog symbols of what to do?
A bit of direction.
Okay.
Because a lot of people start their young dogs in a small round yard, and we use a long-handled rake.
Right.
And we use that to block the sheep when you don't want them to go in a certain direction. So this is a smaller version of that. So it's just an extension of yarn.
Yep.
Nice to hear the applause there. An educated crowd's always good, isn't it, when everyone realises what's happened there. So that first gate has been... Yep. What do you call it? Breached? What would you call that? They've gone through the first obstacle.
They've gone through the first obstacle. That's what we generally say, yes.
So the sheep on the correct side here.
They're on the correct side. And that's the other thing I forgot to say also, is the sheep have got to stay within a 9-metre gap of Anthony as well. So if Anthony is walking ahead and the sheep get left behind...
And he has to keep going, doesn't he?
He can't stop. So the dog's got to keep the sheep up to the handler the whole time.
Can Anthony slow down?
No. He can, but the judge will point him for that.
Because I was just going to say, I think he is.
No, the judge can point you if you vary your pace at all. But sometimes the handlers they're concentrating that much on their dogs that they do forget the speed, so they can get penalised for that. So we'll see how Eddie goes here.
Now obviously the dogs here have got a 15-minute set time to work from. Out on the farm, how long would a dog be expected to work without having a break? Like Paul mentioned his Spoodle and my 2 Beagles. I get maybe 3 minutes out of them and they're done.
Yeah, well, when Anthony actually trains them, he only gives a short amount of... For this stuff, he only does it like 10 minutes. A few times, or just prior to a trial, he might do it once or twice a day for 10 minutes, 15 minutes at a time.
Yep.
He does exercise them, so we've got a little dirt track near our house that we put them down and we make them run back.
Okay.
So, because they're athletes, so
Yeah,
they've got to be fit.
Yep.
So there she goes. She got them through the race.
Yeah.
So Addie's, I think she's in the at the moment top 3 or 4 in South Australia, because every trial the dogs get Dog of the Year points.
Ooh.
So if you win a trial, you get 5 points. Second, you get 4 points.
So Addie's top 3 or 4.
Yes, she is.
So where would Paul's Spoodle be?
Oh, I don't know.
Do you have a top 1,000?
Oh, possibly.
Wouldn't make it.
So now these sheep are on the wrong side of Anthony, so he would be losing points there. Ideally, not ideally, they should have been on the other side of him. So generally the bridge, we always find it one of the bit harder. The sheep, because they can't see the other end, it's going up blind. It is harder for the dog to put the sheep over the bridge.
Now, Susan, I know that Ian and I have talked about our dogs with major impediments to intelligence, but besides border collies, and I would imagine kelpies,
Yes.
any other dogs really good at this?
It's generally border collies and kelpies, predominantly border collies. They are more suited for this, where like the kelpies are more suited for yard dog trialling, because the border collies are a little bit more calmer, where the kelpies are a little bit more rip-tear. But there are exceptions to the rules, because last night you had two kelpies last night.
Have you ever seen another breed of dog do it? Because it would be so much fun to actually see.
Like a Saint Bernard or something?
Oh, yeah.
I don't
Or
know.
Chihuahua.
Oh.
Oh, that'd be funny. We've got a chihuahua at home. We should stick her in the yard too, shouldn't we?
Have you not done that?
No.
Oh,
no.
come on.
We send her away when Anthony's training his dogs. Little Lily's got to go back home, so.
Yeah. Lady the Chihuahua. So, kids, if you've got a dog, imagine your dog doing this or not doing
Now,
this.
we saw yesterday the sheep at the bottom of this ramp, and they weren't at all keen to go over it, and they ran out past the dog and had to get them back in again.
In the opposite, towards the Ferris wheel.
Towards the dog, out towards the Ferris wheel. They were not interested at all in going up that ramp.
Well, like Susan said, it's a blind.
It is, it's blind. They can't see the other end, so you really have to push them up. And it's,
And just on that, Susan, you just want to reiterate that sheep are intelligent?
they are.
Yeah, they won't go up a 30 centimetre ramp.
Well, when you have a look, the sheep are now looking at Addie, or not fully, but if they're trying to back and they feel something behind them, there's this animal here that they think they're going to try to eat them.
Okay. It's a bit like, I'm sorry, but Anthony looks a bit like Gary Chucky Baxter to me.
He's moonlighting.
You don't know a V8 driver, do you?
So we'll see.
Oh,
This
now
is-
there you go.
well,
Look at the stamping of the sheep's front foot. Now tell me about that.
Well, that's saying, well, you're going to come take me on. Like the sheep's saying, I'm trying to bluff, so
Yeah, it's a bluff.
it is a bluff. But Addie's come out, so she can lose points for that also. Because she should go in there and
Yeah.
take the sheep right off. So if the dog pulls out of the opening of the bridge there, she'd lose points.
Go on, off you go.
Come on,
So
Addie.
can she nudge them with her nose?
We've actually seen once before, I don't know if it wasn't here at the Adelaide show. Our other dog, Ben, was in this situation and he went up and he gave
Well done.
a little lick on the nose.
A lick on the nose.
A lick on the nose. I've never seen a dog do that before, but so we'll see. So now all Anthony has to do is hopefully get them in the pen. I'm unsure. I should have had a stopwatch up here to see how much time he's got left.
Do you know, Ian, how long we have left?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't.
We'll find out. When the bell goes, we know he's out of time.
So they don't warn. Do the handlers generally wear a watch so they
do.
They have an idea?
Yeah, they've all got stopwatches on them, so they know, like, knowing Anthony, he just checked his stopwatch then.
Okay. Yeah.
If he was running out of time, he would have been really stepping it out to get to
Got
the
it.
pen, so he must think he's got a little bit of time up his sleeve. That's only because I know Anthony's body language, so.
Ian Forster is our sage manager. Ian, with special comments. Do you have the temperament to do this, as in the handler?
No.
So I wouldn't.
No,
I would.
no.
I would find that just too hard to. I admire that.
The patience
Yeah.
I think that Anthony is showing is impressive.
This is actually really good now that the sheep are almost there. There's still a bit of foot stomping, Susan.
There is, yeah. They're just going to make sure that, you sure you want me to go in there? The dog, they're going to confront the dog and make sure that the. There we
Oh,
go.
they're in.
Oh, now he's got to.
So Anthony will wait for a little while
Why?
before he leaves that. Oh no, he's gone right through. Maybe he's nearly short of time. because you want to wait for the sheep to settle before you leave. Because once you leave that, if the sheep jump out, you lose
There
the
we
points.
go.
of the
There's the
pen.
bell.
Well, that's a fantastic run there. Well done to Anthony and one of your favourite pet pooches whose name has escaped me.
Addie.
Addie.
Addie,
Plymouth
yes,
School
well
Addie.
done, Addie.
Yeah.
Terrific.
So will Addie get some kind of treat after this?
Well, the treat that she would want is to go out there and do it again.
Right.
These dogs just live to work. They just absolutely love it.
Well, that aside, though, what will happen to her now? How does she get rewarded? Does she get rewarded? Like we know we're so domesticated with our dogs, we think, oh well, you give them a pat and a schmacker.
No, we're just, well, obviously, Anthony would give her a nice big pat, and
Yeah.
no, she doesn't get anything special. The main thing, like I said, to reward her is to go out there and work again.
Yeah. And you do see that sort of joy, don't you, in the dog's body language where, yeah, I've done good, did I do all right?
Yeah, no, and the dogs know.
Yeah.
Like, funny story with one of our dogs, like Ben, that's going to come out. Every time we hook the caravan on the car, he knows we're going to a dog trial.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he gets all excited, and yeah, no, he loves it. They absolutely love it.
Now, can I ask a fairly crass kind of a question? We've only seen it, I think, once before
This'll be
here at
interesting.
the Royal Adelaide show. When they're working, if there comes a moment they need to do their business,
Oh, yeah, we have seen this.
does the time stop
No.
or no?
No, the
No,
time
you're on the
doesn't
clock.
stop. You're on the clock.
Oh, wow. So make it short, sharp and shiny is the message, right?
And if anything, I suppose technically the judge could take points off for that because the dog's the dog's not on the job, is it?
Well, it's on a job, maybe not the right job.
Well, the handler should walk the dogs prior to going out.
Ah,
Okay.
so preparation is key.
And
Absolutely.
if you don't use a doggy bag, do you lose more points?
Well, that's true, isn't it? You have to run out after, wouldn't you?
I would hope so, because I'm out there later. It's been a wonderful afternoon here at the Royal Adelaide Show. It's day 9, of course. We,
She wants me.
yes, it sounds like you
Oh,
want
the
it.
cards.
Yeah, but, well, okay, some messages going on between the officials here and Susan.
All right.
They're going
here
to
we go.
text you the scores by the looks of it.
Looks like it.
Yeah. Okay, so this.
Oh, here we go.
So here are the scores, thanks to our judges down on the ground here.
So-
Ian,
Yeah.
with Addie just finishing there, obviously the score is going to be better.
Yeah.
We were talking about possibly a loss of 22 points for the previous dog, so it's a
Yeah.
top of 78. So now we'll have an idea.
We have. So I just got waved at that the scores were on my phone the whole time. So Steve Garrity with Warringah Cat received a score of 37.
Oh,
I think.
wouldn't be too happy with that, I wouldn't have thought.
No.
No.
Oh no, that's all right. Like,
A little shy of the 88 yesterday.
and Anthony. Let's see, where's my? I'll have to sort my phone out.
All right. So what do you, just looking at that run though, without you seeing the score, what do you think that might score?
I did see it.
What would you?
What
have
I
thought?
thought.
Not that she's biased.
Oh,
No,
it would have
seriously,
been in the high 80s, low 90s. It was a very good run.
Okay then. What?
So she got 90.
Wow.
Gee, that is.
That's a new leader.
That is.
So it is a new leader. So so she went past Milton's score last night of 88.
Is there much contentiousness, Susan, in that the handlers might not agree with the judges? Like, is every judge consistent?
Every judge has got their pet things that they will pick on. Like some people are really harsh on people who bury their pace, like you said,
Yeah,
you saw before.
yeah.
And there's certain things that judges do look for. Like everyone varies, but no, as in all sports, the judge's decision is final. And
No video review.
Except in cricket.
Now, have a look at this dog here that's just making its way out.
yeah,
Very attentive to the owner. Keeps looking up at the owner. When can we go? When can we go?
that's exactly right. So this is Stephen Cross, so that's Milton's brother. And he's running out here with Echo Park Lady.
Echo Park Lady.
So Echo Park is actually Stefan's prefix. So Stefan bred this dog also. So and Stefan, he's been trialling for 20 years, and he's actually represented Australia. So he's been made the Australian team 6 times against the New Zealanders.
Well, I was going to ask you if you've got border collies, where are they? Does the English dogs ever get into this?
Oh, I suppose with quarantine,
Yeah.
they wouldn't be able to. But we do
Are there similar sports overseas besides New Zealand?
Oh, Well, there would be, but the sheep are different, so they don't do the course here. Even the New Zealanders don't use this Australian course.
Now this, to me, all right, now I'm no expert with this, but this to me doesn't look good.
No, it doesn't look good at all. I think I didn't watch the cast real close, but she was a little bit tight on the cast, which made the sheep
Yeah,
run this way.
that I could see. So she didn't go wide, is what
She
you
didn't go
yeah.
wide, that's right. She ran up a little bit close and did spook these sheep.
So how old is Lady?
Lady is 3 years old.
3. So a young dog compared to the last one we saw. Addie was 5.
Yes, yeah.
So does the age of the dog have a big impact on how they perform?
Well, experience does come into it. I know the older dogs, I talk about mine a lot, so I apologise for that.
No, that's fine. That's actually good to have that sort of angle.
But Ben when we put Ben in front of the obstacle, Anthony doesn't have to position the dog too much because he knows that the sheep have to go through the obstacle, so he positions himself. And the younger dogs, they're not as experienced, so that means the handler must position the dogs. But when they get older, the dogs know what they're doing. They're not stupid.
Neither are the sheep, apparently.
No.
I went to university with the sheep. That's something I've really learned. I've been here 13 years and been coming to the show for nearly 50. And I have never had that conversation, Susan, that sheep are smart.
Well,
all these years, I'm so sorry to all the sheep I've ignored.
well, dogs are smarter, obviously.
Yeah.
But, well, they've got their instincts and they herd together for protection and everything, and they can soon work a dog out.
And what do you think, if they've worked out this dog here, Lady, what have they worked out? What are they...
Well, at the moment, they're just assessing it. Like, she's just coming in nice and steady.
It's a real eye contact sport in a lot of ways, isn't it?
Yeah. So this dog, we call it a lot of eye. So when the dog's really...
A lot of eye.
Eye. So
You kid.
we got some silly
Yeah,
things,
haven't we?
haven't we? So if the dog latches right on... So see, she's looking really steady at them, but Stefan would be trying to get her to come in now. Like you said, this is a young dog, so...
Yeah. It really is a bit like a game of chess in a lot of ways. It's, are you going to move? Am I going to move? No, I'm not giving in here.
That's right.
There's a lot of bluff as well.
There is, yeah.
Do the conditions have do they play a big part? We're seeing winds here at the moment about 37 kilometres an hour, which are really coming in. Will that affect how the dog performs?
Not so much the dog, it's the sheep.
Right.
But the real windy days generally, obviously it's not affecting these, generally real windy days makes the sheep run.
Well, studies have shown that kids are more restless during windy days. Seriously.
All right.
Yeah, so...
There we go. Stefan's got them moving, so that's good. So at the moment, Lady would have lost some points on the cast and bringing them around, being a little bit off course.
So she basically bulleted towards the sheep there as soon as they came out of the pen. So that makes a lot of sense to see that. Yeah. So if you've just joined us, this is Sheepdog Trials here, day 2 of Sheepdog Trials. This is Lady. She has to guide these 3 sheep between the 2 orange cones there. She can't cut through the imaginary line between herself and her handler. Her handler's name
is Stefan Cross. He's a farmer from Strathalbyn. So he's actually going to be, like I said to you before, a fair few of us are going to the Australian Championships at Derby, and Stefan's actually one of the judges.
When you travel with your dogs, you said you go in a caravan.
Yes.
And the dogs sit in the car with you? How does it work?
Nah, we've got a dual cab ute, like Stefan, like Stefan's dual cab ute, and we've got dog boxes on the back.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
It's almost through here, and then the games can really begin.
So nearly got him through that imaginary line. So they've broke that line now, so Stefan can choose to leave that peg at any time and start walking. There's no rules of when he has to leave, it's up to him. So there he goes, so now he's leaving, and theoretically, he must keep now at a constant pace. So he's chose to walk at that speed, so you must continue that.
So you can walk at whatever pace you choose to?
Absolutely. And he can vary it not vary it, like here he's going steady.
Can he increase it?
Not at this section, but once he completes this gap
Yep.
and he walks the bridge, if he chooses to walk 3 times as fast, he's allowed to.
Gotcha.
He doesn't have to be consistent throughout the whole trial.
Got you. Between each.
Obstacle.
Yep.
That's right.
You can do this, lady. Now, lady can't run between the sheep and Steph, and all that's an instant I'll say that again, disqualification.
That's right. No, that's going completely against what they're bred and trained to do. That's driving the sheep away.
I found that was quite overt. You could see what Stefan was doing there. He said to lady, go that way with the stick. He pointed.
Yes.
And straight away, lady responded to that.
That's right.
There's a gap in this fence here. The sheep need to go through it.
That's right. It's only a 0.9 metre gap. So it's not a huge
Terrific.
gap.
Well
They've got
done.
them through.
Well done, lady.
So now Stefan is walking again, same thing. Just stays at this constant pace. And he's also got to keep the sheep up to him. So
So 9 metres
9
tops, and
metres
you must
tops.
be getting close to that.
That's right. So he's brought them along. So it's up to the judge's discretion where he thinks the 9 metres is.
Ian, wouldn't you be sort of saying to the sheep, come on. I would. I know I would. Might be pointless.
We can do the old bar ram you from Babe, would you?
Yeah, we could do that.
No, that doesn't work.
So the sheep we spoke about, how they're randomly selected for each dog. They get a new set of 3 sheep.
Yes.
Are the sheep all the same age? Because I would imagine the sheep that are older are probably wiser to all of this kind of thing.
That's right. They're all from one mob.
Right, okay.
Yeah, they all must be one mob.
And roughly how old are they sheep?
Well, they can vary.
Okay.
They absolutely vary. Sometimes we have lambs and they're mad.
Yeah, okay.
And sometimes we have old ewes and, like you said, they're stubborn. 'Cause
Yeah.
they know.
Yep.
Because they're not stupid.
Yeah.
Apparently
Yeah,
not.
of course. Yeah.
And so how old are these sheep that we're looking at here, do you think?
I don't particularly know because they're actually Stefan's sheep. So you'd think that Lady would be...
Yeah, okay.
You know.
Well, there'd be yeah. So there's a bit of a home ground advantage.
No, it's not really.
No?
No, not really. No.
Truly?
No. Sheep,
Do sheep go through, serious question, do sheep go through an adolescent period where they actually misbehave? You know, like, because there are certain animals that do.
Well, I know dogs do.
Yeah, of course.
Dogs go through their teenage
Yeah.
years, where they all want to come back to the handler and be very
Nice.
obedient, and then they turn around and go through their teenage years and won't come back.
Through the race there, that was nice work.
That was really done. So he's been very, very clean. Besides that cast, lift
Yeah.
and draw, as we call it. Other than that, he's been very, very clean. He's kept the sheep up, and see now they've broke through that corridor, so he'd be losing points now. So generally, every 9 metres they're away, they're losing more
Yeah.
points.
I'd be arguing with the judge saying that's the sheep's fault, not mine.
Well, actually, if the dog pushed them through, say for instance the gap pushed them through, and
Yeah.
they did a bit of a bolt,
Yep.
the dog can't be in 2 places at once. So
Sure.
so the judge will take that into
All right.
consideration also.
Okay. All right.
So ladies can bring the sheep back to the mouth, and hopefully they'll pop over straight away.
If a run takes 14 minutes and 45 seconds,
Yes.
and another run with the same skill set takes 5 minutes,
Yeah.
does one score better than the other?
No, there's no point advantage to finishing it quicker.
Okay.
No. Some trials they do have prizes for the fastest penning time,
Yeah.
but in overall scores, no.
Well,
It's
I know this is not the sport, but just humour me here. What would be the fast for a course like this? Because they're universal. The courses are similar around the place, right?
this is the South Australian
Yeah.
course.
Okay. So for this course, what would be the fastest you've ever seen 3 sheep penned?
I reckon I've seen it done in 7 minutes.
Yeah, that's going.
Yeah. Sometimes you have blinder runs where they just go right through, you just step in this, and they go like little
Yeah.
pet. Look at this.
Do the dogs ever bark?
Sometimes they bark in frustration.
Are they allowed to bark?
They don't lose points for it, no.
And this is the point that we see it every time, just at the bottom of the ramp.
But the thing is, this is what confuses me. The sheep can see over the ramp.
They can see over, yeah, but I suppose it's a bit
Yeah, it's
on their
strange
feet.
for them.
You can see Steve there.
No, this is Stefan.
Stefan telling Lady to
Come in, please.
move
come
it
in.
along.
That's right.
Carrying Winston Churchill's cigar, by the looks.
He uses a dog whistle.
Okay.
There we go.
There,
Nice.
push them off
That's
nice.
very, very good. And just one more obstacle to go now.
That's right. I think what
there's
happened
time.
then? No, was it time? or
Well,
was
I
that-
just heard the bell. Did I not hear the
I
bell?
turned away. I don't know. Did the
That
dog
was the
jump
bell.
over the?
Yeah.
The dog.
It was a
dog went-
cross. It was a
Yeah.
cross. So what happened then is the dog
Oh,
followed
did the dog
over.
cross?
Yeah, the dog
Yeah.
followed over the edge of the bridge.
Oh,
So that's a
and-
disqualification,
and
is it?
instant disqualification.
Wow.
All that good work, and poor old Stefan comes back with a 0 points.
Oh, 0 for that.
Oh.
Yep,
After
cross.
all that
After
good
all
work.
that.
How devastating.
I'll give
Yeah.
them a round of applause, Lady and Stefan. That is disappointing because that was going to be a stellar run, I would think. There was only the cast originally where there was a little bit of a problem, but otherwise that was good and clean, and that's why it made no sense that I heard the bell.
No, well, when I just
even
looked
pick
away.
the cross. You didn't pick the cross either, did you?
Well, I looked away.
Yeah.
I'll use that as an excuse. Do you reckon?
Yeah. As you can see on the RAA Super Screen, up next, Team D-Max presented by Isuzu. Absolutely brilliant show. That don't go away. That'll be in a little while here. The night shift tonight as well will start at 7 p.m. A huge program on the cards. The weather's looking pretty good as well. We clean it all up, of course, with the RAA fireworks with the Supergroup Energy Oz at 9 o'clock tonight.
So the next competitor out is going to be Stephen Gerrity again with Grandma Bonnie. So Bonnie's I've got it down here. She's a 6-year-old border collie.
A veteran.
Yeah.
Well, is that an old age for a dog in a sheepdog trial?
No, we've had dogs competing at 10-year-old. 10.
Really?
Yeah. It just,
With success?
yes.
With Zimmer frame?
I think Milton represented South Australia last year with a 10-year-old dog.
And how did he do?
No, he didn't make the Australian team.
Right.
Because that's what, when we represent the state, there's 12 dogs
Yeah.
from Australia, so 2 from each state that do the sheepdog trialling. And if you end up in the top 4, you have the privilege of representing Australia against the New Zealanders.
Oh.
That would be, because there's only the 2 teams that compete in that, the 2 countries,
that's
that would
right.
be a highly coveted award to win.
Absolutely.
Who's currently got the ashes of the dogs?
Oh, the
who's-
New Zealanders have
Oh,
been...
really?
Yes.
They're good over there, are they?
Well, they've been giving us a bit of a hiding over the last few years, so
Why do you think they're having success?
I don't know. We'll see. This year, we'll see.
So obviously the next dog we're seeing here is a long-haired border collie.
Yeah, she's a lot longer than the others, yeah. She's a long coat border collie.
Can I just blend 2 events here and ask you, Ian, are you a Border Collie fan?
Yes.
Or are,
No.
you, or are you a Beagle fan?
I'm a Beagle fan.
Oh, beagles are cute.
Yes.
The reference there, of course, being
Oh,
the V8s
yes.
tonight. It's 4-all, Holden versus Ford. Make sure you join us for that at 8:30 tonight in the main arena.
There's a flag.
So now Steve set his dog down, so when the flag drops, the time will start. So we'll see how Bonnie goes with her cast. So she cuts casting on this side.
And that's okay.
It's all right. You've got left-handed dogs and right-handed dogs that they prefer to go on certain sides.
Look at her go.
So the sheep are aware now. You can see
Yeah.
the sheep are aware of...
They're watching the dog, so she's come in. So the dog's stopped now, but we'll see. So the sheep have drawn straight. So even though she didn't look like she stopped at 12 o'clock, the sheep did draw down straight.
Okay,
So that
yep.
was still a good cast.
I've got a good feeling about this one.
No, this is a good dog. She's represented the state a few times. I'm pretty certain she has.
Has she got somewhere else she needs to be? Because she's not mucking around.
No. I think Steve will want her just to settle down a little bit and just...
I imagine, Susan, you'd get the occasional good start and the dog would get very excited.
Oh, yes. There's some young dogs. They run down the other end and the handler's yelling, stop, 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 and the sheep haul down at a million miles an hour. But this dog, like I said, she's an older dog, so she's experienced, and Steve's a very good handler.
Is this the same Steve we saw before?
Yes. So Steve's got 2 dogs on tonight, this afternoon, and so has Anthony. So Steve has to bring the sheep around on the other side of him, the direction they're going at the moment.
That's
That's
there we go.
anti-clockwise.
Perfect.
So it was really good.
Did you catch that before, Ian? If they go the wrong way, they have to unwind.
Yeah.
Quite wide now. So as you said, the 9 metre distance has definitely been breached there.
That's right. So Steve's decided to start walking, so the dog will hopefully bring the sheep back to within that corridor. So they're all in the corridor now, so that's good. So they're positioned perfectly at the moment.
I love the posture of the dog, Susan. It's that sort of very watchful.
Very much so. They're reading the sheep. If you looked at these sheepdog really closely, they actually flick their eyes and watch all the sheep at once. They're very intense. They're watching. So, look at that. That's easy.
Wow.
You had the good feeling, Ian. You might be right.
Yeah, well, they're under 3 minutes and through the first obstacle.
Cool.
Now, look, does Bonnie have, is it 3 white feet? 3 white paws?
Looks like she has, hasn't
Yeah,
she?
you're right.
Reminds me of the old
Oh,
Dancing with Wolves, 2 socks.
Susan, in the absence of a dog, could a human do this? Could a human herd sheep like this?
Not by themselves, no. Actually, it'd be interesting to see how many people it would take. It'd take a fair swag of us to get...
Isn't that remarkable?
Absolutely. Oh, a sheepdog is worth 2 or 3 men on the farm, like trying to yard them and get them out the paddock. Absolutely.
It's a thing, and you would have seen this with the instinct of these herding dogs. They sometimes herd children. Like you've seen that, when you get near a group of people, they'll herd them.
They do, yeah. And actually, some people train their border collies for this on Indian runner ducks.
What?
So you haven't heard that?
A duck? A real duck?
It's a breed of duck called the Indian runner. And some people do demonstration with them because they've got the herding instinct similar to the sheep. So some people train their dogs on ducks.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's different.
But we generally don't. We just
The
use
ducks don't
white
fly
sheep.
off,
They just run.
Are they clever or are they dumb?
I haven't got. I don't know about that one.
We'll look at that. This is almost.
Oh, one's through.
One through and one either side, wasn't it?
Yep, that's right.
This is where it shows where the sheep are intelligent, because sometimes the sheep work out that there's a gap between the handler and the obstacle, and once they start, when they know that gap's there, it's fairly hard to stop it. Like, yeah.
The sheep all turn their heads in unison sometimes. It's quite comical. All very, very aware, aren't they? Okay, you can see
There,
the
look at that.
Wow,
That was
how
easy
good is
done.
that?
Absolutely.
It's a 15-minute time frame maximum, starting on 100 points, working backwards via... you lose points if you miss an obstacle or if you various things happen. So the maximum you can get is 100.
That's right.
If you've just joined us, Susan is here making special comments. She is from a farm in...
Near Port Broughton.
Port Broughton, which is a
Yeah.
beautiful part of the world, actually. I love Port Broughton.
That's nice.
Yeah.
A lot of people go there fishing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
of course.
for fishing, yeah.
So you farm sheep? Is that what you farm?
No, we mainly grain.
Okay.
Grain farmers. So we've got wheat and barley.
How's it been this year?
Not looking too bad. Not too bad.
Your drought hasn't hurt you?
No, we've been in a bit of a lucky pocket actually.
Okay.
Our crops aren't looking too bad at all. So
I have to agree with you that regarding the intelligence of the sheep are very aware of what the dog wants. I can give them that.
Oh, absolutely. They're very aware of where that dog is. So she's got... So that was beautiful work, that was. She kept on a nice constant arc.
Sure. You talked about 12 o'clock before, really keeping that that symmetry, I suppose, between the handler and the dog with the sheep central.
See, at the moment she is pushing off balance, we call it, to get them over. But we call a thing called arcing. So when the dog covers the sheep, they want to be on an arc, because if they cut close, obviously that's going to scare the sheep away.
Yeah.
So hopefully Steve can get these sheep back in the mouth of the bridge.
Almost had them before, Susan.
It did.
Now it's 15 minutes tops. Ian had a timer on it before. Ian, how's it looking?
Yeah, we're at 7 minutes 15. Started very strong, but just having a little bit of trouble on the ramp here. Those sheep
Those sheep aren't settled.
No.
Not settled at all.
What can the dog do to settle the sheep? Anything?
Ooh, make him a cup of tea. Offer him a biscuit.
Have a lemsip.
A lemsip.
Have a few peas or something. You should have a little bag and just drop a few peas in the mouth, wouldn't it, of the bridge. But no, the dog's just got to try to let the sheep settle and just keep off them a little bit and just try to, like I said, keep that nice arc.
Must say, if you look at the close-ups on the RA super screen of all of the dogs here, look, the mouth open, the tongue out, the posture, the tail just wagging a bit. The dog's so hyper alert. The dog is totally enjoying.
All the way it's just creeping in so slowly. One leg up, look.
Yeah.
So hopefully the sheep roll off. There we go, they've rolled. Oh, they found that gap. They're just not interested in going in the mouth, are they?
No.
So, got one sheep looking up there now. No? No, this is a bit unfortunate.
And we saw this with the last dog. It was looking all right up until this point, and then instant disqualification as it went up and over.
That's right.
And that was time for them.
So even here now, when the dog's got to push them past Steve, the dog can't slip in front of Steve because that'll be a cross.
As tempting as that seems.
Absolutely, that's right.
We had one of our commentators do a cross between where we were sitting and the camera the other day. Matthew Pantelis, who will join us later tonight. You'll remember that, Ian? He was disqualified when he leaned right in front of
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Okay, this is looking...
Oh no, they found that
too
gap.
soon. Yeah.
9 minutes 40 now, so we're just losing a little bit of
So
time on this
Just
obstacle.
over 5 here.
Still plenty of time to hopefully pen them.
This seems the trickiest obstacle
It is.
every time.
It generally is, yes.
But as you said, no advantage for finishing it in any particular time, as long as you do it within the 15 minutes.
That's right. Whoops.
That's an extra show ride you
That
get
was
to
it.
experience
That was
here in the
good.
commentary
My
box.
chair just collapsed on me. That's
You
all
might
good.
have just heard that on the PA there. That's the sheep are in the mouth now while Susan recovers.
Oh.
No, these sheep
have it.
are just getting stirred up, aren't they?
Do you think, they had a very good start, very quick start.
Yes.
Do you think that had any impact on maybe winding the sheep up a little?
It could, because the cast, lift and draw is the most important part of the whole trial. So that when you take your time bringing them down and going around the peg and taking a little bit of time, the sheep do get used to the dog.
Sure.
But sometimes you can't help it. Sometimes the best dogs, the sheep are just running down.
Oh, here we
and
go.
do it.
Oh.
I thought that was through then. So that makes a lot of sense, really. If you start in a calm manner,
That's right.
then you're going to probably have a calm outcome. Whereas if you start in a heated
Exactly right.
frenzy,
That's right.
as spectacular as that looked.
Yep.
So just under 4 minutes remaining to get these sheep up the ramp and into the
Oh,
pen.
there-
Oh, here
oh.
we go.
Now that seems positive.
No, that sheep. Oh, so
Oh.
that dog has bit, but obviously the judge thought it was fine because he didn't latch on and do anything too silly.
One thing we haven't seen so far from these sheep is the old foot stomping, come and get me sort of thing. Sometimes you do see an aggressive sheep.
It might be interesting now that dog's had a bit of a go at that sheep. If that sheep will,
So it's a
Right.
bit of, it is trying to exert dominance in some
absolutely.
ways, isn't it?
Here we go. Looking now, maybe that sheep will think, well, now I know you've got some teeth, I'll
Sure.
go wherever you want me to go. So, no, they know that gap's there.
Not interested in
No.
it, are they?
No, they know that gap's there.
And time now becoming a bit of a factor with 3 minutes left.
And every time, like we said before, every time those sheep go past, and like he's losing points now, and every time, look, he's retired.
He's retiring.
Yeah,
Oh.
he's decided that's enough.
That's it.
Okay, we'll give Steve a round
Wow.
of applause there. Well done, and not going to happen. So when you retire, you still keep your points.
No, you don't.
You don't. You lose your points.
You lose all your
Disqualify.
points.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, because sometimes the handler thinks this isn't doing my dog any good,
Oh, okay.
and
Yeah.
for the sake of the dog, I'll retire.
Okay.
It's disappointing. Had such a strong start.
Absolutely.
So we've got one dog
We've
remaining
got
this
one
afternoon?
dog left.
Wow, they've got a...
So it's a couple of zeros now.
Yeah.
We have. So we had a couple of retirements last night also.
Well, it's going to take a pretty impressive act to beat a current
Yeah.
top score for today of 90 out of 100.
That's right. So Addie's leading at the moment on 90, and second place was Milton Cross last night with Andrina Floss on 88.
So Steve Geraghty and Graham Bonnie going off now. Give them a round of applause. That was a very good start, as we were saying before, and just not able to get those sheep through that race there. It seems like such a troublesome part of the course. So here comes some more sheep now being loaded into the original. Do you call that a pen as well?
The release, we
The
generally
release?
call
Okay.
it, the release cage, yeah.
So 3 randomly chosen sheep, a bit like the Hunger Games. I choose you, or whatever it is.
Yeah. So the next competitor out will be Anthony Island with Oak Downs Bin.
Tell us about Oak Downs Ben. I know you know Oak Downs very well.
Yeah, Oak Downs, actually, we didn't breed this dog. He was actually bred by a gentleman over in Victoria. But Ben's a 4-year-old Border Collie. And he's going to be one of the state reps this year, along with Milton Cross. He was on last night with Andrina Floss, the dog that's running second. So Ben's going to be one of our state reps. But perhaps I shouldn't say that until after he's had his run, because he might make an absolute mess of it.
Yeah, well, you never know, do you?
You never know.
Never know.
You never know. So they just, I think,
Does it become apparent when it's time to retire the dogs?
yes,
Like
the handler knows.
Yeah, okay. I suppose you must know your dog very, very well.
They know. Yeah, and it's pointless staying out there if it's going to. Well, it's the sake of the dog and also the sheep. Sometimes people retire their dogs and think, like, the sheep have had enough.
Yeah.
Especially on hot days, if they've done a lot of running around, they just said, enough's enough.
And you can see this dog here just looking around, getting its orientation. You can see
Oh, there he is.
the trailer down the end there with the sheep being unloaded. It's saying, hey, come on, Dad.
Oh, he's
Let me
pulling.
off that lead.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
There we go. A little bit of a pep talk.
He's just taking his collar off.
Ah,
Yeah, because the collar's a bit of a jangly one. You don't want anything like that. Will upset the sheep also.
Oh,
Yes, of
that's
course.
a consideration that I hadn't thought about. Yeah.
Yeah, so the collars that we've got on at the moment, they are very noisy. So we do always remove our collars. Some people leave their collars on. They might not be noisy collars, but
Hope you're enjoying the sheepdog trials here. Day 9 of the Royal Adelaide show. On the RAA Super Screen, you may have just seen coming up soon is the Isuzu D-Max Motorsport happening here at the main arena. There you go, presented by Isuzu. Team D-Max up next.
there's the flag up,
Far away.
the release. And there's the bell. And a wide cast back to the original side again.
He's generally a fairly good casting dog, but I won't say it until he's completed it.
It's quick. Wow.
Yeah, he's a quick one. Oh, stop. So
The whistle there.
the whistle went for stop, and he's not listening, and he's being a bit naughty because he's not even drawing the sheep back to Anthony. Now he's got to stop. So Anthony would stopping the dog and just letting things calm down because things went a bit haywire there.
Really good picture on the RA Super Screen too. Oh, Anthony as well. There you go. He's having you can see him talking there.
Yep.
Having a bit of a chat. What's he saying?
He said steady, and then he said stop. So steady for Anthony's command is go to point of balance. So other point of balance is to go to the spot to draw the sheep back to Anthony.
Got you. All right. Okay.
So Anthony's just going to slowly introduce the dog to the sheep now.
Because it was a pretty hefty introduction.
It was, absolutely. That's right. So he's just trying to calm things down a little bit, I should think.
A slightly different approach with this dog. The last dog we saw was quite low. Spent a lot of time getting low.
Yeah.
This one, not so much at this point.
No, he's up on his feet. All dogs have the slightly different ways that they work. Some like to stay on their feet all the time. Some like to drop down. Every time the handler says stop, they like to drop down low.
And is that something that's trained, or is that something they just do naturally?
Naturally.
Right.
A bit naturally, yeah. Anthony does have a drop command to some of his dogs that are intense, and he wants them to release the pressure. So there's just slowly, just flirting around, just trying to introduce that dog.
You talked about presence, Susan,
Yep.
of a dog, and how important it is to the sheep. They can sense that sort of imperceptible, nebulous sort of idea of a dog's charisma or presence.
Yes.
What does a dog without presence present like?
Dog without presence.
Yeah,
well,
what would it
they'd
be
have
like?
they'd have to be right up under to get any force, like to get those sheep to move.
Gotcha.
They'd have to go right there. Where a dog with a lot of presence, they could be metres away and get a reaction from the sheep.
Got it.
Where a dog with no presence have to go right up there.
Yeah.
So he went around the peg, but because he went on the other side of the cones he was outside that 9 metre corridor. Ben would have lost. I would have thought some points of that also. But Ben's on the right, like the sheep are on the right side of Anthony. So they're in the corridor, so theoretically they should be going not too bad. It looks like the sheep have settled down a little bit, but we will see. Ben was lucky enough last year to be the South Australian Dog of the Year. So with the Dog of the Year points I was saying, he ended up #1 dog in South Australia.
So no pressure.
No pressure. I should really keep my mouth shut until after, shouldn't I?
This is looking positive. Very good. Nice work. Absolutely terrific.
That was done well. Like, you wouldn't have lost many points, if any, going through that gap then.
Well,
They're like little pet sheep at the moment, aren't they?
they certainly are. They weren't.
No.
But the change, and I think Anthony's really driven that, is that he's had things slow down.
Just
The sheep are not skittish anymore. They were.
Does the pace of the handler make an impact on the way the sheep behave? So obviously Anthony's moving quite calmly and slowly there. Does that help in settling the sheep?
Not particularly, I don't think. Because he can't if he varied his pace at all to block those sheep, I can guarantee you the judge will hammer him for that. And rightly so.
To the sheep then, just to extend Ian's question, to the sheep, they don't tend to appear to be too spooked by the handler out there.
I think they're more worried about that dog.
Yeah, I suppose that would be the bigger threat to them, wouldn't it? Or the bigger sort of most impactful thing out there.
That's right.
So now Anthony's just stepped into the little square, so he can't move now until they're through that that next obstacle.
That's right. No matter how much he wants to, he can't stick his leg out to block the sheep.
God, I would have trouble with that.
So the sheep have gone past the obstacle, so there'll be point deductions for that.
It's reasonably unforgiving, isn't it? Just
Absolutely.
a point here, a point there,
Oh,
it's up.
and you can rip through points very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And we saw that with the first dog today with a score of 37.
That's right.
Unfortunately, lost point after point.
Yet I would never have, only knowing the sport as a viewer like this,
Yes.
I would never have guessed that the score would be like that.
No.
I was surprised when you said it.
Oh, well, it doesn't take much, because generally, like, this is a ballpark figure. If the sheep went past this obstacle and right round at a bit of depth, there's 3 points gone just like that.
Gotcha.
So, and walking out the corridor, like if they walked the whole length of that corridor and they were completely out, that'd be 4 or 5 points gone, just like that, just by slightly walking
Okay.
outside the corridor.
All right.
So it's a bit of a Mexican standoff.
It is.
Yeah.
The sheep and Bin.
What are you saying?
We'll see how he goes.
Just backed him in at South Australia's top dog, so
Yeah.
see if he lives. She lives up.
Yeah. Well, it was last year anyway. I don't know if he's leading dog of the year this
It's
year.
so 28.
That's 7 years ago in dog years. So
Yeah, that's
a long
it.
time ago.
That's right.
So there's the foot stomp from the lead sheep. And again, see the left foot going up and down?
Saying, "Come on, Ben, take me on."
You can see that on the RAA big screen. You might see it again too.
Now Anthony's got a reverse on him, so he's just reversed him out.
Okay.
Maybe to relieve the pressure. I'm not sure.
It's like Harry Potter's wand, isn't it? It's just like here, there, everywhere.
There we go. So it looks like the sheep are in the mouth, a couple of them, but the heads are on the wrong end. Oh, there we go.
You might have it here.
Come on.
Oh,
Saying, come on.
There we go.
hang stop there.
Calm as you like.
That is nice. Give him a round of applause. That's a really nice piece of work.
Now this is where we've seen so many come unstuck before.
Exactly right. The bridge is always the tester for them. Seems to be.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Should condition the sheep with some show rides beforehand.
Perhaps Anthony should, all the trialers should have had a handful of peas and just
Just chuck
dropped
it
a
down.
few down for him.
You can't do that. can
No,
you?
no,
You just mentioned it a couple of times. I thought, hello, maybe this is something that does happen.
no.
That score of 90 didn't happen naturally, mate.
After this, I don't want to spoil this run now, but I want to ask you, have we got another dog after this?
No, this is the last dog.
I'll just let them get through here first, and then I want to ask you a question about things along those lines,
Oh,
if I can, just in general terms. Let's just watch this first.
so he's
This might be looking good.
going nice and steady. So the sheep are just rolling around.
This can be very deceptive, though, and it is
Oh,
looking
really?
positive. I'll give you that. But if one bolts, then
That's
it's
right.
trouble.
And
Oh, there's the foot
There
stomp.
you go. Same sheep as well.
so this gets a bit tricky
Yeah.
because the dog has to push in and the sheep.
There
Here
we
we
go.
go. Oh,
We're all facing the right way
they
now.
are. So hopefully Bin goes in
There's
there
Anthony
nicely.
talking
Quick,
to
quick.
him.
He's saying, "Come on, Bin. Come up, come up." Well, that dog's awfully close now. And there's a bit of a risk that if the sheep turns around and bolts over the dog,
Yeah.
Oh, here
here we go.
we go. Easy as you like.
Hopefully the dog backs back around.
Wow,
Oh, look at
this
this.
is
That's
terrific.
good.
Okay, so just the pen to go. I will ask you because otherwise we'll lose you. Are there any behind-the-scenes shenanigans that do go on sometimes, Susan, where
No.
dog handlers have ever been in the sport? Maybe New Zealanders.
Oh, that's a good idea. We'll pick on the New Zealanders not here to defend themselves.
No, seriously, have they, any little controversies or anyone?
Or some people were accused of rattling loose change in their pockets,
Is
or
that right? Okay.
saying if the sheep bolt right away, the one command that some people have is get back, and they get back and try to bleat like a sheep to get the sheep.
That's
and
ridiculous. That's got to be a joke.
It doesn't work.
Looking good here. This might be almost straight in. Or have I just jinxed it?
No, they've gone down the side. So Anthony sets in his square there, and he's not allowed to leave that square until the sheep have all three are completely in the pen.
Yeah, you've got the 2 sheep facing one way and one facing the other. Oh, now they're all the right way.
So, oh,
Here we go. Oh, look at that.
Nice.
So calm in the approach, isn't it?
yeah. So Anthony let him settle for a little while, and he's going to go shut the gate,
This is worth a very big round of applause.
give the dog a pat at the end.
Nice
There we
work.
go.
There you go.
we
There's the
go.
pad.
Oh, yeah.
Pat at the end.
That is a very good run and well within the time, of course. Now, the score to beat is 90 here at the
Yes.
moment.
Tall order.
Yeah, it is. But look, to the naked eye, to someone not heavily involved in any way with the sport, to me, I can't see why that wouldn't be a really high score. Did you spot anything there, Susan? Ian?
Oh, I'd be surprised if it bet 90, but I don't know.
Well,
The judge is closer; he can see better than we
okay.
can.
Just on instinct, what do you think?
Oh,
90 is a very impressive score.
It
I think
was.
it'll be a tough ask, I think, to top
Yeah.
90.
Would we be in the 80s with that one?
Surely
it
it would have
definitely.
to be.
I would think it'd be.
Like, I'm backing
around
this in as a
80.
winner. I'm going to go
Are you
out there
then?
now. Well, I've been backing the red team
Yeah,
in car
you've-
soccer all week, so
That's a kiss of death, really. That's no good for anyone.
Well, I haven't got a message yet, so we'll see directly, and then I'll give you the score.
Is there room for appeal? Or is the judge's score final?
Absolutely final.
Absolutely final.
Absolutely, yeah. Which is a good thing.
do the judges
Yeah.
explain to the handler afterwards, this is where you lost points?
If the handler goes up, and it's just,
Sure.
can you just explain where I lost points?
Yeah.
Especially if they do it at a good of heart.
Is the handler, while they're doing it, calculating that, or are they too focused on the actual dog?
They're usually fairly focused, but they'd have a rough idea of approximately how much they thought that they'd get. They know where they lose their points to.
Of course. Well, what do you think, sitting in the crowd watching the final of as in the final run of the sheepdog trials? Was that run worthy of the win today? The score to beat, and it's just being handed from the judge now, was a 90. Our expert up here in the box thinks it might be in the 80s.
Oh, I hardly call myself.
Me, forever believe me, in this box, you're the expert.
In present companies, definitely.
Whoops, there we have got the score.
And
Bin got 89.
89. Oh,
So he got
gonna be
second
close.
by 1
I'd say
point.
it was hard to pick.
wow.
Yeah, so it was close. No, so he did a really good run. So, and we've actually got